Oh, okay. Robert.
Yes. I have the floor. Okay. I want to tug your ear. As you may or may not know, I bumped my head and wound up investing in another property here to fix up, I guess. And along with that goes the need for parking. Now, this is a bit of sarcasm, but in a joking way. Maybe I should have just skipped this part and did what we all do anyway and just tell the tenants just to park. But I don't think it's, as taxpayers, it's our responsibility to pay for landlords' tenants' parking. So what I would like to do is propose, hey, I want 4 parking spots, how about $100 a year for each parking spot, July 1st, every year, and like along, we all know the A&P, we call the A&P building, if you look through there, and I did talk to a couple of the ladies at the hair shop, just wanted to pick their brains, see if maybe they'd be interested in it, and it's a way to generate a little bit of money out of something that we've got. It just sits there. And we see them everywhere we go. Parking for John Doe violators will be towed at owner's expense, but we pay for those spots right there. So along that building, you probably could get 5-6 spots there. And I can't help but think over by the building that we bought and tore down, maybe a nice fence right there with the same, maybe over the Legion, maybe a Legion employee or one of the Legion executives wants a parking spot too, or whoever else. So you probably could get 6 on each end. That's $1,200, just using a hypothetical number of $100 a year for parking. And, obviously the center of that being municipal parking, no overnight parking, whatever. And, it's just, I think, a little bit of a way to generate money off something that just sits there and maybe clean it up at the same time. I'm sure we got the 2-3 unregistered cars parked there as we speak. But that's just my thoughts, And I need some parking anyway. So regardless of any of that, if anybody else wants to pay for anything.
Well, it's funny. That's a municipal lot, both of them, including where the house was torn down, because the town owns that lot. And actually, the Legion parking lot is next to the laundromat.
Everybody always calls this the Legion parking lot, which is fine with everybody parking.
Because it's right across the street.
But it's funny that the Legion parking lot is down below.
Right, that's correct. We had talked a little bit about this at the last meeting, very briefly, and I think $100 a spot is very generous. Okay, how would you feel about picking up the expense to stripe the parking lot, and we'll give you a couple of free spots for the first year?
Okay. Hey, I don't want to answer a question with one, but I was thinking there's got to be some sort of formula or measurement that somebody knows what you can get the most out of your parking lot. And I'm sure you've driven by there and seen cars like this, and seen cars like this, and it's kind of blocked. People get blocked in there, so there's got to be a more efficient way to do it.
That's kind of what we were thinking, is like invest the money in the first couple of years and getting it, and then you could definitely fit more parking, it'd be more organized and structured.
John can certainly help you with some of the restrictions and the sizes of the parking lots, and if we get just a map of the area, and actually the companies that paint the lines, they're pretty proficient at maximizing the amount of space. There's only a handful of them that do it.
Right.
But and they're not that expensive, really.
Well, I don't want to get into a $15,000 parking lot. I don't want to say no. Because if that's the case, let's do the paintbrush and I'll start painting.
You're welcome to investigate it. we certainly appreciate you coming to the board with it, because like you said, it could have been like, so many others around and asked for forgiveness
Well, and
after the fact.
I threw it as a little sarcasm, and I get it, and I'm sure maybe there's going to be another landlord that is willing to pay. I don't know how many of you guys. I mean, it should be nice to have some that's left municipal in there. I'm sure.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
but that's incorporated in their rent, whatever. In along those lines, I mean, I think. If something's drawn up, if you guys decide to do something like that, I think in there, it should be pretty specific that, you've got a parking spot, but there are rules. I mean, you shouldn't be working on cars in the parking lot. Hood shouldn't be up out there. It shouldn't be up on block. Should be, you know what I mean? There's type of things that I think should go along with it.
Yes. I think it's something we're gonna have to sit down and mull over a little bit. I believe that we find someone, get the measurements and try to utilize every bit of space we can.
Yep.
As far as painting the lines, even if we could get a diagram from this person, I see the town boys
I was just gonna say that.
painting
They got a
down.
machine too.
Yeah, there's no point hiring someone when we already have the machine to do it.
Yeah, no, I have a problem doing that. We gotta lay it out.
But as far as, someone just coming up, is Angle Park or,
Yeah, because I don't know which is more. I guess in
Right.
certain situations it's different.
Yes, and I agree.
So
I get what you're saying, because angle parking would help you swing that corner at the top if you did it the right way.
And then, enter through one end and exit through the other.
And right now, I mean, it's just for no rhyme or reason. I mean, I know some park this way. I park this way because I'm a creature of habit. That's the way I've always parked. But now some go the other way, and so it just kind of makes a little bit of a mess for everybody.
How much does this impact your hearing tomorrow night? John?
Well, I don't know.
A permit cannot be issued until he has a written agreement for parking.
Okay, so you want us to move on it pretty quick,
Well,
obviously.
we can have a tentative one too, or
Yes.
or I could go another route, right? Just
Start parking.
yeah. Just okay, you ain't gonna park there, then kind of they just kind of go.
What are the rules with the municipal parking now? Is there parking between a certain time and a certain time?
There is, well, the sign's gone. I think for years it was, but somebody must have decided.
So
they wanted the sign
there's
gone.
nothing set in stone there right now.
No, there's nothing there. And Tim knows along these lines, and that's why that's just water over the dam. But there were kind of handshake deals made over parking there with this building that I have now that we're aware of with that building. But I don't even want to go that route. I'd just soon pay for my parking and just get it out of the way.
So I think, hearing from some of the members of the board, everyone is for it.
I make a motion for it, for sure.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to pin you guys down to something right now, but I just thought,
I guess what I'm thinking right now is we make a, agreement basically that yes, we will support that, but we want to look into maximizing the parking.
Yeah.
And,
Before lines are drawn,
Right.
that we would agree to give them in 4 spots.
how's everyone feel about that?
I agree.
I mean, you don't have to rush into a decision because of the zoning, because the board has 45 days to give Robert an answer, and then there's a 30-day appeal period after that.
Okay.
Before anything can be done, really.
So sometime in 2023 you're moving in?
The building looks good, by the way.
Yeah, I got work.
Nice-
Yeah,
nice
they're good.
paint job.
I'll leave it alone before anybody changes their mind.
Okay.
Thanks, Robert.
Is there someone that we can look to maximize? I don't know. I've never dealt with anything like that. Alan, in your past,
There is a striping
No.
company in Williston, I can't remember their name.
No, I've used a couple of different ones, but,
Why can't we just look it up online?
yeah.
Yeah.
Or it's not even a striping company. Call Northwest Regional Planning with a size of the lot.
Okay.
And they do parking lots all over
Perfect.
the Northwest Vermont. So
Well, to throw an additional add-in, would it make sense if we're gonna spend some time and money in striping it, to put a fence right up the side of that lawn on the lower side to prevent the spillover of the neighbors
Mhm.
to the
What kind of fence are you thinking?
I don't know. Something that is sturdy enough so it can last, but it'll because I mean I think half those cars on that the far left hand side if you're looking up the hill are belong to the renters owners of that next property down the street.
We have to go through zoning for that, correct?
For fence, yes.
Yeah. What about curbing?
No, you should be able to put curbing in.
Would a fence affect how they plow the stone there?
Yeah, that'd be my next.
But they can't plow onto that. They can't really plow onto that person's property anyway, so it shouldn't, right? I'm just speculating. Like if you,
I don't know.
You're talking about the west end.
Yeah,
Just
well,
that
like
one
if,
Yeah.
side.
like
not
if you're
fencing
looking,
all the
if
way.
I'm
you're looking,
facing it and it's on the left.
yes, yeah.
I think it's a good idea. I don't know if it's prohibitively expensive.
And some of those cars that been there all winter long and they haven't moved.
So they received zoning violations?
Well, I don't know who they, well, the town would be the one to receive the violation because it's town property.
Okay. We'll get it taken care of.
John.
A couple of things. I have a driveway permit that Scott has already signed, but the select board needs to sign it for Mike Cunningham.
Up on 7 Saplin's Lane.
Yes. And then I need to have agreement for the streetscape grant signed by the select board chair. And I have to return that copy, but I made each of you a copy.
Thank you.
That copy I have to return to regional planning.
Thank you.
And what's our financial exposure to this, John?
Wasn't it 2,400 or 2,200?
Anyone opposed
You
to
have an
this,
extra copy of that and I can keep it on file?
Yeah,
driveway
well,
permit for Mike and Veronica Cunningham?
I'll make a motion. Or you need a motion for it, just sign.
Second it.
I approve it. Yeah. All those in favor?
Alright,
Any opposed?
and I think it's June 13th, the second Monday in June, we're gonna have a walkabout for the streetscape plan, and any of you are welcome to come, and it's gonna start at 5:30 from Davis Park. So it'll be convenient for you, Tim.
oh, you're encouraging me to go.
You said June 13th.
There's
right?
that one.
I'll be happy to go, John. Do you want all of us to sign this?
See why not. This one
What
here
was
is
the
just for
date
the
for it?
select board chair.
June 13th.
Aren't we going to exceed
5:30.
the dates on this?
Fine?
Aren't we going to exceed the dates?
Oh, probably. No.
Period of performance under this agreement shall commence on 2/1 and run through 5/31.
I think next year.
Oh,
probably.
next year, yeah,
Next year.
but, okay,
But I think we are behind time.
okay. Just know it takes a lot of time.
I'll hand that back to you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. And I'll give a copy of this. And do you want to be the, well, you're going to do the billing for this.
Oh, yeah, I think you guys all nominated me to be the administrator on
Yeah.
that.
Then there's a project contact person. And then there's a billing contact. I'll
Okay.
talk to you. when I-
Yeah.
Is that it, John?
Yes.
Joey, you have nothing else to
Yeah.
say?
Just here.
Alright. Moving along, we're looking for approval of minutes for 4/18, 4/28, and 5/2 select board meetings.
Tim, you had a,
Yeah, there needs to be a change to the meeting, the special meeting minutes.
On 4/28,
Yeah, that's correct. Because it says, In the executive session, Michael Olio accepted the position as town administrator for the town of Richford. It was approved by the select board 4-0. You can't take any action in an executive session.
Oh,
So we
You have to come out
Yeah.
and say, as a result of the executive session, we've decided to hire Michael Olio in that position. So we can either add it to the minutes for tonight and strike that from this.
just take out, in
Just-
the executive session, just put as a result of executive session.
You
That's
can.
it.
If that's a change that you wanna make, that would be fine with me.
So just change it to,
Yeah, just block that little piece out right there and just put as a result of executive session.
So do we have any changes? There's changes are being made for 428, 418, is there anything that needs to be addressed?
That was my last effort.
I know. And on 5.2, which I have to abstain from that particular date, cause I wasn't here. Is one thing.
I would just recommend, to you that, the only times that you need to provide are when the session started, when it adjourned, and when we recess to go into like executive session or something like that. You don't have to give the timing of all of the motions and so
Okay,
forth,
okay.
okay? It'll make it easier for you.
Okay,
Other than that, I propose, approval of the minutes with the changes to the,
let's
April
go,
28th.
let's do approval by date. So, here a motion to approve 418,
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Approval for 428 with a change,
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
And on 5.2,
I'll make a motion to approve them.
And I'll second that.
I abstain from that one. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none? Passed. Alright, on to topic number 5, discussion of complaint about fire warden approvals. Everyone knows my position on it, so I'm abstaining from the vote. For any vote.
And I'll say this, I can see the complaint I can see where the complaint is coming from. Reading the town charter, it says the select board shall appoint based on the recommendation of the fire association, 3 fire wardens. Which will happen within 30 days, we will approve them within 30 days of receiving them. Then it says annually, the fire warden shall choose the chief and other officers. So to me, that reads like it's step 1, it's a 2-step process. And otherwise, I mean, it doesn't make sense otherwise, that if it's not a 2-step process. It would essentially say we would be approving the officers in the manner that it's being done. So, and without the history behind it, I mean, it had to have been written this way for a reason when the town charter was created. And I'm assuming it was in line with the fire association bylaws at that time. I don't know that it still has, or still is. So, because it doesn't make sense that, you know, furthermore, I mean, if we're picking fire wardens, and then it says the fire wardens will pick officers, why wouldn't it just say that we'll approve the officers? So to me, it seems like it's a 2-step process, and we're just, the way it was presented this year, here are the elected officers.
Well,
So
I think that's how it said for
And
last
so I
time.
started in 2000, back when I started in the fire department in 2004, I was down for 8 years, I went back. Every year, you know, when I was doing the secretary and everything, this is the way it was done. The association voted the officer slate, and they turned the officer slate in here. I wrote the letter many a times as a secretary for the association.
And I'm not saying it hasn't been the case, but I'm not saying, I'm saying the complaint has merit, and doesn't mean that what was happening was in line with the town charter. That's all I'm saying.
Why do you want to add an additional step in the process? And I know the charter says they're supposed to give us the wardens, then we're supposed to respond to them that the wardens are approved, and then the association's gonna take the 3 exact names and do what they did originally.
Well, let's throw this out there. What if there was some name on those fire wardens that we were like, hell no, that person was convicted of embezzlement, or he was convicted of arson, 10 years ago.
Then
And we said no to those, then they'd have to go back and revisit and provide us with another warden before they could do their election of the officers, at least in my plain language reading of this charter. Right now, the whole process is done.
If we received the letter from them, and you just don't pay attention to the positions that are listed on there, then we would have, and if we had an issue with anybody that was on there, without looking at the positions at all, if they were a mass murderer or something, then we would say, I don't think this is a good appointment. But we didn't have to do that.
But at that point, you're essentially approving the election of the officers.
Well,
It's
we don't really do that. We don't have any say in the appointment of officers. The town appoints the wardens, okay? So if you just took that letter, and I thought I brought it with me, apparently I didn't, that we're just looking at the 3 names on there.
Yeah.
And we're saying, we accept these 3 names. And we get back to them and say, these are the 3 names because we act on their recommendation. And then they go and they make them anything they want. So we don't approve that. We don't approve the positions. They did it.
Yeah, but it appears that way. When we receive a letter that says, let me see, I think I have it up. No, I don't. But basically, the letter said,
I might have it here.
the fire association says Andy Pond, first chief, somebody second chief, and third chief. So essentially, that we're approving their officers.
Well,
When we're only tasked with approving the 3 appointed fire wardens.
so assume that that's what we did.
But Tim, we're trying to be in line with what we have, and you're making, like, it sounds like you're trying to make some exceptions.
No, I'm not making an exception at all. It's never been done that way in the past.
It's just
Do we know that for a fact? We don't know what happened 25 years ago. We don't know what the
All right,
bylaws.
fine. All right, then I would move right now.
May I just say something? Okay, so yes, I've been on 20 years, and as far as I know, this was how it took place when I became chief. The way it was explained to me, that we always picked the wardens, being the officers, being the chief, the assistant chief, and the second assistant chief. It was just told to me as basically a formality that it went to the select board and they approve the people. And with respect to what you said, that yes, if we had someone that was embezzling or an arsonist, that's where the select board had their time to say, no, we don't approve this person. We would have to bring it back to the association, and the association would have to figure out from there what to do, was my understanding.
So
But
basically, the association, all they need to do is say, these are the 3 people we want as
Yes.
wardens.
And
They
then-
send it to us, we say yes or no.
And we don't care
And
who
then
they
do
elect
the
from.
rest.
We don't
And
care.
they do whatever they want.
If that-
this was
So from
brought from, I mean,
Right,
Joey was secretary, and right now, my father is secretary. When it first started, and this was, well, my father was secretary before I became chief. And I was talking to my dad about it, and he basically stated from the elders that had been on for so long, this is how you do it. So he was just following protocol for
Yeah.
someone that's been on the department for
Yeah.
50 years.
so from just this point forward, they're just gonna send us who they want for
And
wardens, and then
that's,
they can do
if
their own
that's
thing.
gonna clear things up,
Yeah, that clears it up.
the
Yeah, if they
association
just
is
send
more
us the
involved.
names,
Yeah,
that's
send
fine.
us the 3 names.
Yeah, I mean
Okay.
that absolves the town.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's still. I mean, reading this, I'm still not sure it's being done correctly on the other end, but
What do you mean on
No,
the other end?
the charter says that they
no,
recommend.
it absolves us, that's all that matters. But it sounds, if you read this, like I said, a plain language reading says they will present 3 fire wardens, and then later on it says the fire wardens will select first fire chief, second. So the way that I'm making
Two different positions.
those 3 fire wardens, it sound like, because that's who we've
They're just
appointed,
fire wardens, they're not.
will appoint those 3 officers. Unless,
I can
without seeing the bylaws, everybody that's on the fire association is classified as a warden.
I can assure you, the bylaws are in place, everyone has the bylaws, and they have been reviewed, and things were being followed to the bylaws that are standing right now. And Joey, you can give your thoughts on it, but
We read them over the other night, we have them, everybody that was on signed them. They're being
So-
followed right to the letter.
Right, so maybe what we should do to cover us is make a note in the minutes stating that
the
we,
approval of the names and not
of
the
the
positions.
wardens, not the position.
That would absolve the town.
Yes.
And what
That makes
happens,
sense?
what happens beyond that
And that
is
takes care
falls
of
to the
us.
fire association.
When you were researching that, did you look at the original charter, or were you looking at
This is it
the
here.
amended charter at the time the town and
That's
the
it here.
village merged?
At the town, that's the one that we have to go by.
The new one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
This was
saying,
done in
I don't know the story,
1999.
and
So-
I'm assuming assuming good intent, when the town charter was revised in '97, it was in line with whatever was the fire associate had at that time. So, I mean, that's the assumption you have to make, right?
Okay.
I don't understand why the town wouldn't be absolved if we just said that we approve the 3 names on the board.
That's what we're doing right now,
With-
it's gonna be in the minutes right now. And then next year.
Regardless of what their position was, we're still gonna use those 3, and then they're gonna go back and say, these are the 3 we want. And,
Yeah,
and
it's just a step.
basically, they provided more information than we need.
Yeah, it's a formality, it's a step, so let's just do our
And so-
step and then call
But
it.
but I think the key piece for me that's I'm hung up on is unless everybody that's on the fire association is classified as a fire warden.
No.
No, wait, let me finish. Then these 3 fire wardens that we nominate are the ones that elect the officers, based on the plain language reading of what's in the state charter.
Right, but it says we take the recommendation of the association as to who the fire wardens will be. It says specifically, as you see, these appointments shall be made within 30 days of the day the select board receives the association's recommendations.
Yes.
So they gave us a letter
Mhm.
that had 3 names on it.
And we're bound by law to accept what they're saying? I mean,
Yeah,
the fact
well, no, we can change
Well-
if we don't want to approve them all, but we approved them all. And regardless of whether there was a position or not, they sent us 3 names for fire wardens. And we said, good, we're gonna approve these 3 names.
they weren't listed as fire wardens, they were listed as the elected officers.
Well, they're not
We're trying to clean this up, Tim.
you can do whatever you want.
You advocate for being transparent and cleaning things up.
I think this
This
was
is the clear-
perfectly clear.
Yeah,
I disagree with you wholeheartedly.
well, you're allowed to. I guess it's up to the rest of the board,
It's fine.
you know, how we feel, what the rest of the board feels. But I mean, to me, I would be interested to see what somebody else, maybe we do need to have the attorney read it.
No, we don't.
Well, then let's clean it up.
Fine.
By cleaning it up, all they need to do is submit the 3 names, they submitted the 3 names, so we're gonna make a change in our notes, our minutes, stating that we accept their nominations for the fire wardens, the 3 fire wardens, and that's it.
And moving forward, the secretary has agreed just to give the names and not the positions.
Exactly.
And then
And
we
then-
make the assumption that everything is
On their board. for
is
the
being done
association.
according to your bylaws.
Yeah. Makes
And
sense.
I would like to also make one other clarification in our meeting minutes for going forward. We have to classify the fire wardens that we did appoint as forest fire wardens, to make a distinction.
That is definitely.
Okay.
So classify
Classify them as forest fire wardens, as instead of just fire wardens as they were because that too added to the confusion of this for me.
Two different entities, same wording.
Yes, so I think if you add the forest fire warden to it, it makes a distinction.
The different people.
Yes, the same name.
But if it's
Separate.
No, but it's different people.
but if you're
Different,
reading,
yeah, it's different wardens.
This is related, this charter ordinance is
Town
related
forest
to
fire warden
volunteer.
is the actual,
Town
Title.
forest.
but if anybody's reading the town, if anybody's reading the minutes and it says we appointed, it says we appointed. On the reading the March 28th meeting minutes, it says we appointed Andy Pond fire warden and we appointed Paul Martin fire warden, and we also approved
right,
the elected officers. So if you're reading that, so did we approve? You know, I assumed when I first read it and before I did research that we came up short on the fire wardens because of the town charter.
Yeah, let's do
But we
it,
can't-
but
we
whatever
can't
you want,
change.
it doesn't matter.
so,
Clearly it does. I mean, you're upset.
No, I'm not upset, I just think it's additional work that doesn't need to be done. But they're gonna straighten it out for
Well, this
future
actually
years.
This actually simplifies
It
it.
simplifies us.
I understand, that's fine,
Okay.
I don't have a problem moving forward with that.
We're good.
So I just wanna go over it, so it's to make approval wardens, not the officers,
Yes.
to absolve the town from any issues going forward.
I
And then clarify wardens, or wardens as forest fire wardens.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
They're different.
Are we going?
The wardens that we receive from the association
Our fire for.
are not the forest
Yes,
wardens.
they are.
No.
No, they are not.
So then why are we changing what we just approved to fire?
So you
for-
got two different entities, you have the
Yes.
town fire department and you have
Yes.
the town forest fire wardens.
Yes.
Paul and myself are forest
The
fire
forest
wardens.
fires, right. The
I
other
am
ones are the
also-
regular
It's listed as wardens, the three wardens,
chief, assistant chief, assistant
right,
second chief,
but
yes.
it's the terminology that
It's
it's
two
used.
separate positions.
Exactly, forest fire,
So I should say wardens from the volunteer fire. department,
firefighters association, and then you have
Forest fire
the
wardens.
town forest fire.
Yes.
I'll help you, Michael.
Okay.
Forest wardens that are appointed by this board.
Yes.
Yep.
No, Paul Martin.
Yes, dude.
Okay.
You got dumped to my place yesterday, huh? In the afternoon. And I called them, canceled it.
Oh, that's, yes, that's
Yeah.
true, okay,
I called them, canceled it, but
that's okay.
So we don't need to do any motions or anything on that.
Well, do you just wanna go through the motion of approving those three names, not the positions, that were given by the association?
the three names were approved by us.
The three, yes, it was
But they,
myself, Shelby Pocket, and, Thomas Sherrill.
Sherrill.
Yes.
And we already approved that. And so we just gave more information than we needed to,
Right. So
which we
simplified.
got into the association business, which we have no business getting into.
Yes.
Okay, we'll just leave it at that then.
Sounds good.
Alright, moving on. I can
Let's hot
find mine.
topic.
That's an extra one I got.
I had it on a computer here, but I'm open to many other things. Thanks, Tim. Okay, so,
Sorry.
charter amendment trash discussion.
This came up in the past, and I'm just looking for a board consensus. The charter to change an amendment, a charter change, adoption, repeal, or amendment in the procedure. It's more calendar driven than anything else, okay? We talked about, do we wanna be in the trash business? The first, public hearing, needs to be in accordance with, the charter proposal shall be filed as a public record in the office of the clerk of the community at least 10 days before the first public hearing. And in order to have that hearing, we need to, that hearing can happen 30 days in advance. So we have to file that 40 days in advance. So if we were to do it now, we could have the first hearing on July 1st, okay?
It has been very bad. I've been burnt many times with this, so we had talked a while back, in meetings about having meetings and inviting the public to come in with thoughts and different things like that, to get the community involved in town and out of town people. So can we put a meeting together, announce it, get some people involved, cause that's what I've been asked. How come you guys haven't had a meeting yet? How come you guys, I thought we were having trash meetings.
Because
We said we were going to and we haven't yet.
what about this one? This could be the first meeting to
This one
discuss it.
here?
No, this,
Okay.
first
You're
hearing
saying
for the
it's a-
charter. We can change it.
Cause we
If-
have a meeting in 2 weeks if we post one.
No, but you can't get it in time for the election on August the 8th. That's why I'm saying we need to react to it now. If you have the first hearing, the select board has to conduct 2 hearings. If at the first one, if the charter proposal is made by the legislative body may revise the proposal as a result of suggestions and recommendations made at the public hearing. But in no event shall such revisions be made less than 20 days before the date of the meeting to vote on the charter. So basically, we have that meeting 1st of July, let's say.
Yeah.
Okay, and then all of the townspeople are invited because they all vote on the charter amendment, the entire community,
Yeah.
The special district and out in the town. And if at that meeting, we take 10 days to decide to schedule another meeting with changes because somebody had the best idea since sliced bread, and we said, gee, that's great. Let's change the charter to read that something like since it's in the charter, would change the charter to read that all people in the town would vote, not just the people in the special district,
Right.
okay?
The changes.
And that was all we'd have to change, because it says, where is it? Well, it would fit into the schedule that way. My apologies.
In the August 8th, like, can you explain
That's a
the-
primary election.
Well, I guess,
then it would get the, what's the process from there?
It would be a ballot item.
For November?
No,
Or
for-
March?
No, for August the 8th.
I thought you said that was a primary thing.
It is, but it,
But what is
it
it?
still goes on there. It's like a special election for trash.
I was gonna ask.
So,
it's
so it
a-
doesn't, there's not a secondary then?
No,
That's finalized?
that's
fine.
what they decide there.
Okay.
And that does 2 things for us. It, if it gets voted down, that the people still want trash, then we scramble to get an RFP out, and it's corrected for implementation on the 1st of January. Okay, and
Alan, you got something?
Doesn't it have to go to the legislature?
well, yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's-
before it gets
I don't-
implemented,
That was
I
gonna be,
don't
that was
think
gonna
it
be
can
my
go
point.
until the following year anyway.
I
I
was,
know.
I was gonna, we've got, way I look at it, we got till November. August would be, if we don't have the time, we've always got November's election. Legislature doesn't open up until after the first year, correct? So we've got plenty of time. I think holding a few public
Meetings
meetings would be.
beforehand, because right now they're thinking we're gonna try to sneak something on their own minute,
Yeah,
or push things along.
Everything
They
that
don't
I've
do that
heard-
At this point.
from people, it seems to be that they wanna keep the trash. And,
But I think we need to have an idea, we need to fix what's
Right.
going on.
And I've shared these ideas with a couple people, but when I was in Florida, I observed things. Palm Bay has their own town trash pickup. And how they do it is they have one of those big plastic garbage cans for garbage and one for recyclables. They pick up Monday and Thursday for garbage, and I think Friday for recyclables is how it works down there. If we were to get something like that in town, treat people, you'd have no more stickers. This is just a quick thought. No more stickers, they have a can, they maybe pay a deposit to have this can. As long as they're paying their trash bill, they're able to keep their can. If they're not paying their trash bill, it would be up to the company to remove that until the bill's paid. Just a quick thought.
But we're the ones that do the billing.
Yes, I think we need to go from the billing part of it, I think it needs to
That's
belong
that's
to
the
whoever
biggest
we
problem
hire
right
to
now,
do it.
stickers or no stickers or.
But they would be responsible, it would make them responsible
For
for
the
the billing.
Yep.
And the removal of the trash cans, cause they're not gonna wanna take trash for
And
some.
I think that's why you should have the public forum.
Yeah, and I agree.
It's just to have like an idea hashing, not necessarily have it where it's attached to a deadline.
Yeah.
Because there's
Exactly.
a vote, or just to throw around these ideas. There's also other towns, that sell just trash bags.
Yeah.
So
And
there's a line
they're
item
at the
about it.
store, they're at the town hall, and then they have their little local drop site. So
Right.
you have to purchase one of those bags in order to bring your trash to that drop site.
Right.
I also
That's
think it's
for
gonna be
everyone.
important for people to know when they're voting, that they're not voting to have trash or not have trash.
They're voting on,
They're
yeah.
voting to change the charter that requires us to provide a trash service. So that if they vote, if we change it, we get rid of it.
Mhm.
5 years from now, town decides different, they wanna add trash,
The charter allows for that.
Yeah.
No,
It doesn't though, because the charter would be changed. The change
But
to the.
if you implemented a change that gave the select board the ability to implement services,
No, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna say there's, the town of Richford would no longer be responsible for trash removal, either in the special district or in the town.
but I think that's the piece that hasn't fully been discussed, is what is the change you're going to make?
Right.
Well,
What-
I understand that, but that would be what the charter change would be.
But that's.
This stuff, and I don't think, and again, I'm not spending any money with the attorneys, but, it says, voters residing in the special services district may by a majority of vote of those present and voting in a duly warned meeting, authorize the select board to enter into a contract for service. The select board sets the rate for such service sufficient to cover the expenses of the contract and shall collect such rate from those property owners so served. So we can't farm out the collection of rates. The charter won't allow it.
So I mean, we could change the charter to make it so we as a select board could make the decisions, not that we could actually hire a company, could make the contract for Richford, still have the in-town, out-of-town garbage, whatever, however people wanna do it, but have that company responsible, whoever we hire on is responsible for the billing, the picking up, knowing who's paying them and who's not paying them.
Oh, then they won't get, I
And
understand.
that way, we're not
Right.
involved, we're just overseeing and
That's
picking up
fine.
this company for them.
That's why it just says discussion today.
See,
I'm not-
that's what I'm thinking we should do. That way we're
That's fine.
not in that part of it, but we still supply it.
And then possibly, potentially, you know, opening up to the people outside of town,
Mm-hmm.
which don't have the benefits.
Exactly.
So, I don't know, it's something to discuss, but I think it needs to be talked about at a public
And
forum.
yeah, we need at least 2 meetings prior to going to some type of charter, I know, cause you're gonna have. a
And
lot of
Michael,
people-
I mean, it might take you there just writing down people's ideas and just, you know,
going town-wide does eliminates a lot of the issues that in the past we've had with the trash service. Because payment no longer becomes an issue,
Exactly.
part of their taxes. If it doesn't get paid, it's not a question of do they get
Well-
stickers or not get stickers.
so if it was a
Tax sale.
town-wide, it would be able to, but then you get the people that wanna opt out, what do you do in that case?
And that's the hard part, it's like you have a lot of business owners who might not benefit from that service.
But myself,
They're
I mean,
paying
I pay
twice.
for a dumpster, not that I need the entire dumpster, but, you know, it's either you got a little bit too much, then, you know, X amount of dollars a month, and I'm paying more per month than people do in, you know, a quarter. So,
But they buy their
So,
large cans.
Yeah, you would,
Sylvester does, that's the way you would do it. That's
so
how
that I
they track.
understand, when you talk about offering it to the town, that would be optional,
I'm thinking so.
okay? So, how would you amend the charter to read?
It'd
That,
be an optional service for the town.
okay,
Bungling?
Well, I think that, you would need to research that. and get
I
some
think it's gonna
language.
take a lot more than just general discussion tonight.
oh yeah, for sure.
But
I just wanted to raise the issue with the timing of the August election, but you're right, it does have to be approved, any charter changes have to be approved by the legislature. And they just approved, you know, a dozen of them in the last week before they went home.
Yeah.
So they're probably gonna put it off till the end of the spring session.
Is it,
Or the
is it
winter
typically
session.
pretty pro forma, they just automatically do it, or do they?
There's some discussion sometimes. I mean, the big one this year was merging Essex Junction and Essex.
Yeah.
You know.
That's big.
Yeah.
And so they had some discussion about that, but
So
Since
basically,
we're tied to the legislature, we could actually spend some time working on it and
that's fine,
vote it on in November.
that's
yeah,
fine,
that's what I was thinking, we got until November
okay.
to work on this. Cause that's basically the last voting cycle before the new year, so.
Yeah, well, and again, it's gonna be, we should have these informational votes or informational hearings. I'd say no later than the 1st of July.
We would be able to come up with a plan by the August vote, we could put that out there, you know, if you had this choice, or that choice, what would you choose for a
And
garbage?
we did try to like send out something with the billing.
Yeah.
That kind of just giving people an idea of like, do you like the system currently? Would you make changes? And the response was kind of, the response wasn't that great. We got back maybe only 65 or 70 of them, and we sent out over.
And they were all equal. Each of the category options
They were
were all
very,
equal.
They were very equal about keeping it, doing away with it, and wanting to have their own choice.
When does the sign gonna be installed out front?
So, well, that's another thing we should chat about.
Okay.
But it is on order. It's on its way.
Okay, I was just thinking to, you know,
I know,
broadcast.
absolutely. That'd be a great
Yeah.
first thing to use it for.
Okay. Alright, is there any more discussion on garbage at this time? Okay, so we'll move on to the conflict of interest policy.
Oh, everybody seen the one that Michael shared, that must be the one that you located,
Yeah, it was a, all that stuff, it was.
This is the edited one that we worked on.
So the more I look at it, it does almost essentially look like the VLTC model policy. And I did suggest to Michael to kind of kick some things over. Maybe not the articles here, Michael, but just so like that when it gets to Article 4 definitions, have them shifted over. So it just gives it a little break, breaks up the document.
So you're talking just the formatting of how
Yeah.
it's presented?
We're working off of this one,
Yes,
okay.
but I was saying kind of model it like this, where you have Article 4 definitions, and then the definitions are kind of offset in a little bit.
Yeah,
So it just gives it a better flow. And I do a lot of legal reading through my work, and I always find it easier to, read if I can, all right, article this, kick over here, just for my personal preference.
Didn't you also have some concerns about a definition of a recusal?
I want to add under the definitions, the definition of abstain and recusal. Add that to this, whatever document we,
Otherwise, I think it looks great, okay? Except that on the first line, it should say town of Richford.
Yeah.
Instead of type of municipality and name of
The one that
municipality.
Andy had there is more of the, has that filled in. That's the one, that was like the edited document that.
No, it
The
doesn't.
very first line,
Right, yeah,
okay, it needs to say town of Richford.
yeah, okay.
So let me ask, on the direct or indirect personal financial interest of a public officer, how does that fit being, I'm in a position of emergency services, being the ambulance and the fire department? How does everyone look at that? My positions in the town.
What page is that in here?
It's right, the first page.
Oh. Oh.
I think in general discussions, you're allowed to participate, but if there's any, I don't know,
What I've been doing so far is anything to do with the fire or the ambulance, involving money or, I mean, I'll give my opinions, but I just rather abstain so I don't get called out on something like this.
something else.
Well, I think that becomes your definition of recusal and or
Abstain.
abstention.
So I think abstaining from voting, you would always do,
Correct.
but
Yeah, where do you
depending
go?
on the topic being discussed, like if it's a financial thing,
Yeah.
you probably wouldn't participate, based on my understanding of recusal, is you wouldn't participate in the discussion at all.
Okay.
Because you have a vested interest in that.
Right.
You know,
That's what you wanna clarify.
Yeah.
Right.
so that's you know, I think that's my understanding of abstain, is you just don't vote on anything really.
Okay.
But on any bigger topics, recusal means you wouldn't participate in the discussion.
Okay.
I mean, is that how everybody else would view it?
Yeah, and I think that's Article 7. Once there's been a disclosure of an actual or perceived conflict of interest,
Which everyone's aware of.
yeah, other public officers shall be afforded an opportunity to ask questions
Yep.
or make comments about the situation.
Mhm.
If a previously unknown conflict is discovered, so forth and so on, I don't have to read it all.
Right.
And they don't have to recuse themselves, it's up to them, okay?
Yeah.
Unless the board wants to take action.
And even then, it's only basically, I mean, for lack of a better way of saying it, public shaming, admonishing them.
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, there's not much teeth that the rest of the other select board members have.
Well, because it says, if the public officer has an actual or perceived conflict of interest, but believes that he or she is able to act fairly, objectively, and in the public interest in spite of the conflict, he or she shall state why
Yes.
he or she believes that he or she is able to act in a manner fairly, objectively, and in the public interest. Otherwise, the public officer shall recuse him or herself from the matter under consideration. And I don't think we've been deviating from that. I mean, Sherry didn't vote on liquor licenses because of relatives that were on the different businesses. When I used to have a liquor license, I never voted when I was on the board. The issues about salaries and those types of things have always been,
Yeah.
whether it was somebody that worked in the highway department or somebody that worked in the ambulance or fire service, always recused themselves from discussion and or certainly votes.
Okay.
But I think the further step would be to recuse them from discussion. I mean, we can ask questions about a conflict of interest, but we don't want to discuss salaries or anything with the people that are here.
Right, that makes sense.
But,
Like when we did the ambulances, I was the one that said that
Yep.
they should have a raise and minimum wage and all that, we should raise it to what, more than that. So, and he, Indy had stepped aside from doing any conversation with anyone.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Exactly, that's how it should be.
Do you have any interaction with people that are on the ambulance service?
Yes, I do.
So you should have not been in discussions either.
I don't work for the ambulance, so we're.
No, but it's not about working for 'em.
No, I'm part of the director, so I would be the one.
Well, just like if we were talking about Notch, Andy would, or, Wally, yeah, thanks.
Okay,
Wally
that's-
wouldn't be
that's
able to
where-
participate.
Directors should be the one, and like managers should be the one bringing up a raise for their employees.
A direct or indirect personal or financial interest of a public
I didn't-
officer,
I did.
public officer, his or her spouse, household member, child, stepchild, parent, grandparent, grandchild, sibling, uncle or aunt, brother or sister-in-law, business associate, or employer or employee in the outcome of a cause, proceeding, application, or any other matter pending before the officer or before the public body in which he or she holds office.
So she's not the employer.
I'm not the
She's a
employer.
supervisor.
I'm a supervisor, so I would be the one that would be introducing raises. And on top of that, I don't work, I get no money from it, and I'm related to none of them.
Okay.
And when you brought it up, I said, I want no part of it.
And exactly what he said, but I said, I think they should, I think they deserve it, they pulled us through all of this, if we can find room, let's find room.
So it sounds like we're in agreement with the, and are you guys okay with adding abstain, a definition for abstain and recusal?
I'd have to see what they look like, because I think recusal's pretty well defined here.
The other one I was wondering about was Article 2.1, I'm on one. Under Article 5, a public officer shall not use resources available to the general public, including but not limited to multiple municipal staff time, equipment, supplies, facilities, for private gain or personal purposes. Okay, so since I've been on the fire department, as a member, you're allowed to go in if you gotta do something to your vehicle, you just bring it into the bay and just quickly do something to it. Or you're able to wash your vehicle down there. That's a resource. How does this, affect that? This is something that, we got people down there that are probably doing more than what they're getting paid to do, and that's how it was explained to me back when I first joined.
Well, we used to have, back in the older boards, significant issues with people washing their vehicles down there and helping themselves to extra water to fill swimming pools.
That's part of, that was explained to me at the time I joined, is part of the benefit of being on a department because of the time you invested.
We talked about it a lot.
Yeah, but then, let's, I can see, like, I'm not concerned about water, but now you're talking $6 fuel.
We're not.
Cause you gotta truck it there, right? You're using the fire department equipment to truck it there.
I don't know that they were in the past. They were bringing water tanks
You're
to,
technically not using the fire department's equipment, you're using the association's equipment.
The tanker is a piece of equipment.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I guess.
The town provides the fuel for the
Yes.
trucks. So that is an expense, you have the wear and tear and the maintenance, but most people, you don't charge them, but they give a
Donate.
donation.
It's a donation,
And
basically.
anybody in town, filling their wells, filling this.
And-
They don't, and the parameter was that you didn't leave Richford.
And through these donations, the fire department has been able to buy a ladder truck. They've been rescued, the tanker, the brush truck. Those are apparatuses that the association own.
You're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars that the town hasn't had to foot the bill for.
you get that through water donations?
Well, it's part of it. Coin drops, movie nights. Steel dumpster, yeah.
What's your thought, Alan?
Well, I had another question on that same paragraph, which was our personnel policy allows employees of the town to
Yeah.
use non-motorized equipment, like the highway guy, if they wanna borrow a truck jack or something.
Yeah,
to use it.
Yeah.
Or the power broom? Oh, you said non-motorized.
Non-motorized, yeah.
But even if, like, the mulcher was just loaned out, and there are certain pieces of,
I don't know, I guess it.
Well, they're not an officer though.
I mean, technically, I don't know if Scott used any of it, but he at one point was, and
Yeah, I guess that's what it comes down to, huh? The definition, the officer.
Yeah, well, like Article 2 specifically says public officer or
right,
municipal official, not necessarily just an employee.
right.
Road foreman's a municipal, position, isn't it?
They're an employee, they're not elected.
What was the second thing you said, the third thing?
Public officer or municipal official,
That's a municipal official.
I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah, I don't know.
See what I'm saying? So everything's kind of like, but it's, I don't want to say it's always been, but it has always
But
been.
it can't be,
But we just need to
look
be
the other
transparent
way,
with it. We need
like you
everybody to know.
Yeah.
And everybody knows. They can read all this.
I mean, I go
It's
down,
not-
I'll admit, I wash my truck, people see me, but I bring my own soap in my own garage.
Yeah.
It's not that, I don't feel that I'm abusing anything by doing so, but
No, but there's some people
it's a
that
topic
want water
that
for
we
their
need to
wells.
talk about.
Yeah,
well,
it's all a donation and people donate time to do extra fundraising. People donate different things and that kind of offsets that. People donate money to have their wells filled. People donate to have their pools filled.
how about,
So people are donating their time for the fire and ambulance to do different fundraisers, so. kind of
how
same
about the
thing.
trash business in the village? I'm on the system. So as of this minute, I recuse myself from any trash discussions.
Well, that accuses Alan, we don't
Well,
have a
it's just you
quorum.
and I.
We don't have a quorum, there's three of us off.
But I think also, I mean, that's probably why the built-in thing is if you can reasonably say why you're gonna be you can be not objective, or well, not non-objective, but objective. You know, and you know, and it can be reasonably concluded that you can be objective
Right.
about, you know, your participation in the trash, which you're paying for. You know, you're not getting a discount. You're paying the same rate as everybody else.
What happens if I sign up for the ambulance discount program?
There is one.
Yeah, you pay the, what is it?
$75.
Yeah, but
That's a subscription.
that's a subscription.
Subscription.
That's got to be a lot like a donation. I mean, it's
I don't know,
it's a special program.
I'm just throwing out these little things
But
because,
wasn't there something in here that
But that's
said
available for
you're
all people.
it's not a conflict of interest if you're voting on something and they use the tax rate as
Yeah,
an
I know.
example. So that would be the same, like you participating in a discussion on trash. is
well,
not-
we all vote for the tax rate.
But yeah, so everybody participates in the trash program, so it's kind of like the tax rate.
If trash is available to everybody in the special services
Yeah.
district.
Yeah.
So
And in
I mean,
fact,
so I
at
think
one
that
point
there are
in the
some,
charter, if
you know,
lived
we're
in
talking
that,
about some things that are
you
covered,
had to be on it.
sufficiently covered.
Yeah,
So, you know, you can't, you know, how do you tell somebody you gotta be on the service and then say you gotta recuse yourself because you are on it?
I know, exactly. We lose three of us off the select board
I think there's
from voting, so.
there are built-in exceptions, you know,
Yes.
that
I'm just trying to be a wrench in the gears, just like, well, because if we're gonna do it, people are gonna come forward and say, you know,
Exactly.
just like the fire member discussion.
Yep.
A citizen came forward and said,
Look at this.
not position, not position, not position.
Yep.
And so,
Oh, we remedied it. We're good then.
I understand that. I don't think we're ready to vote on it tonight, right?
but we have to make edit. He's gonna make the edits.
Okay.
If we could do it soon, that would be
That's-
great, cause I do need this policy, for reimbursement from FEMA.
Yes, that's right, you do need it soon.
So what else
I
is
mean,
there
I-
for hiccups?
I think, I would just like to see the definitions added, but I mean, I mean, it talks about what you'll do to recuse yourself, it doesn't really say what it is, but I think if you wanna just go with abstain.
Yeah.
Add abstain in, I mean, I just think those are, it's much easier to have those definitions to operate off from than discuss them later on.
Well, and I do think that under Article 5D, that's specifically related to the firehouse. I mean, in our case,
And what's that one say?
because the resources are unavailable to the general public.
Oh, you're talking about washing your car?
Washing your cars or filling your swimming pools or, and I hate to say it, but, you know.
Anybody can call and ask that if it's swimming pool.
Well, yeah, and what about,
So do you just omit
do you charge
that,
for that if you fill somebody's
or
swimming
do you
pool?
edit that?
So.
No. Then you, if you omit that, then
$150 donation.
I know.
it's self-defeating, you're
And
already
what about-
making, you're already, no, I don't think we omit that.
I'm not saying omit it,
No.
just apply it.
Yes.
Because it says, resources are unavailable to the general public for private gain or personal purposes.
Yeah, I mean, well, I understand what you're saying about, you were using your own soap and brush, but to the layperson driving by, short of asking you, they don't know it. And a lot of the conflict of interest is perception.
But that as clearly states the resource, which, I mean,
No,
I'm using a resource right now, powering my computer, charging it. I mean, it's all on definition and. we
Yeah,
know
I like I said, it's just, some of it is just what comes down to perception.
Yeah.
So, you driving by, they see your truck all lathered up with soap and you're using a brush, it may be yours, but they don't know that.
Right.
So it's
perception, they see it and it's like.
so
yeah.
that, I mean, that's, ultimately, that's what a lot of
See, the thing,
the stuff we deal with comes down to.
What if we just add some additional language, use of a resource resulting in a monetary cost?
well,
There you
if you do, if you read Article 6, you can, if the public official, prior to participating in any official action on any matter, publicly disclose at a public meeting or public hearing that he or she has an actual or perceived conflict of interest in the matter under consideration, and disclose the nature of the actual or perceived conflict of interest. We can say, it's okay, you can do that. Thank you for disclosing.
Right.
Just like, Rob, we get,
Didn't we give permission at one time for the firemen to use and wash their vehicles down there?
Fire and ambulance has been that way for over 20
Yeah,
years.
I think that was actually talked
And
about
the
in a meeting, and it's probably in minutes at one point, we had okayed it for them to do it. Not in my time, but a long time ago.
But which minutes are they?
I have no clue,
Exactly.
don't even ask me. I have no idea, but I know they have talked about before, when I first got on.
Yeah.
Because somebody was talking about that.
Yep.
Just before Andy Derby got on, because they were talking about it, and they had said it was actually talked about in a meeting, Linda said, and that it was approved. So it had been the last 7 years.
I don't wanna make something that's unmanageable. And, there's,
Well, the other piece is the highway, maybe about the highway for borrowing stuff.
Right. If they wanna borrow a jack or,
Probably should think on it.
Well, I mean,
I know we voted they couldn't.
Well, they're not
they were only
officials.
to
yeah,
other
they're not
Officials.
officials,
they're,
the foreman would be
so.
part of that.
And there's no loaning out to other people, we took care of that 3 years ago.
I believe,
Yeah.
after I left the board the first time.
About loaning out the equipment to other people in the town that weren't working for the town garage. The reason being is we had gotten something back that was broken. It
I
was
mean,
gone for like 3 or 4 months and then we
we
finally
need-
got it back.
What, I think, what these policies are really established to prevent is, awarding of contracts and,
Yes,
you
exactly,
know,
where the
and,
big money
and
is, yes.
embezzlement and,
Yeah,
getting preferential treatment for different things. And we're killing ants with a sledgehammer.
yeah, I think we've always,
Um,
as long as I know.
Well, right,
been
but you don't
on,
wanna
we've done
enact
well.
something that clearly contradicts.
Just because this board sees it one way, will the next board see it that way?
Well, that's why you have to lock it.
Right,
You lock it in.
Yeah, it's done.
right.
I can be okay with approving this with the formatting changes without abstain and recusal if the rest of the board is okay with it to get Kylie what she needs to get FEMA funding.
You
Yes.
can always change it later.
Yes.
Or not, okay.
So can we?
Well, if someone's recused, they can't vote anyway, so it's the same thing.
Are we talking something else now?
No. You were saying you wanted definitions, not in this document, but in potentially a future document, a definition of an abstention and a recusal. And if they're recused, they don't vote anyway.
But it's not. But but you don't vote with abstain either. Recuse that it comes out and says that you don't participate in the discussion. That's
And that they should be recused if they're going to get to a point of abstaining of a vote.
yeah. But the big distinction is they don't participate in the discussion. Abstaining from voting means you could talk the whole time, and then when it's right up until the point,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's the distinction.
And why would you abstain? Because you had a personal interest in it?
Right, but you still have.
But why didn't you recuse yourself then if you had a personal interest in it?
Well, it's kind of like the garbage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm voicing my opinion about garbage, you're voicing your opinion about garbage, but both of us get town garbage, so we're gonna accuse ourselves, we have to for a vote.
We don't though.
Yeah, but if it be on the same line
Because
as
it's-
that, but yeah, I have
No,
my
because
opinions.
if you live in the village, we get water and sewer too.
Mhm.
And we approve the rates.
Right,
And they were well discussed. We didn't recuse ourselves. See, I'm just
I
saying
think
that.
you should be able to have the right to talk your opinion, because that's why we're on the board, there's 5 of us for a reason, we want 5 different outlooks. And then when it comes time to vote, then you gotta sit back and not be able to vote, but maybe something you said could sway somebody one way or another because it made sense.
Okay, so let's just use this for instance. I've kind of talked about this. I'm on the fire department. We want a new fire truck, right? Do I abstain and recuse myself because I'm on the fire department? Do you want to hear why I think we need a fire truck?
I would wanna hear it, but then you'd sit back and not vote on it,
That would be an abstaining.
and that's what I think we need to have in there.
Whereas, and I
What is their personal gain for you in getting a new fire truck? Nope, none at all.
whereas if we were discussing rate of pay for ambulance staff,
Right.
that would be, in my opinion, a recusal.
Yes,
Absolutely.
The only thing I could say, and I think it was mentioned, and that when they raised the drivers, which are just a basic license, up to $12.55.
Yep.
Because of
minimum wage.
minimum wage, and you had EMTs that had gone through a 200-hour class and passed the national, were getting 13, so they were making 45 cents more than what I think I did mention at that point. I look at, that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna vote for it, but this is how an EMT is gonna look at it compared to,
Oh, yeah, they're not, yeah,
yes.
why did I do
So
all
I
this?
think, and maybe I'm wrong, well, I was wrong by doing it, but that was just an opinion as an EMT, why someone gets to drive and not be in the back and have to write a report for a half hour after getting 45 cents less than I am.
You're in this.
And in all
I think
honesty,
everybody should
Andy,
be heard at some point.
because, see, that's not what a conflict of interest policy is. If you're going to discuss the potential for a financial gain, like an increase to the EMTs, you shouldn't be talking about it.
Correct. I shouldn't, but that's, I believe if you go on camera, I probably did say that.
I understand that, but that's because we didn't have this policy in place.
Yeah.
It's
But it was
a
more,
very delicate issue, transparency, and in the public eye, what is a personal gain or a financial gain, or and like I said, normally it's applied to much larger scale things, awarding of contracts, you know, things of that
Because me as
nature.
an employee, I'm gonna tell my boss I want a raise. So how else is he gonna know I want a raise unless I tell him I want a raise? How else is somebody, even though they're an official, I'm a manager, I want a raise, my employees need raises, I need raises, you know what I mean? How else are they gonna know? But then I can't vote on it, I don't make the decision on that.
You're not a public entity. You can do anything you want in private.
But when you sit here, you're wearing a different hat. You're not John Q.
Correct.
You're not John Q. Public.
So what about the select board? The select board hasn't had a raise in how long? How many other towns have raised their select board and who voted on that? The town didn't even bid-
Town
budget.
auditors need to, and we don't have any.
I know, I was one. You see what I'm saying? So at some point, we as a select board are.
Well, we
are
wouldn't be the
flexible,
ones
so
to make that decision
We won't
technically.
make it, we'll have to put it in writing, so we still have to say we want it, and then it goes to the town we voted on, so it goes to our bosses.
Well, technically, any raise is voted on anyway, because it's
Exactly.
part of the budget, and the budget gets voted by the public.
Exactly.
So
So it's kinda like that gray all the way through on all of it.
Let's just
I like the
do this
exchange
as it
with the
is.
other party.
and can we? Yes, I agree. Can we? Minus. I mean, to include the little formatting.
Yeah, that's
change,
fine.
Can we have Michael just print off? Go print
Signature
out
page?
the
Sure.
signature page so we can sign it.
Or-
Alright, then I make a motion, we accept the approve the conflict of interest policy as presented to include the minor edits suggested.
I'll second it.
here's a motion. Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed.
And at the end of the meeting, Michael, can you just go print off this signature page for us and we'll sign it?
Or just pass that around and we'll sign it now.
Well, I
Oh, you
mean,
got notes on it?
no, it's
I
got
got a clean one.
alright, but I mean, it doesn't have the edits.
I understand that,
Okay, I mean,
but we just signed in the signature page. Are you editing anything on this page?
Here's one that has Richford on it.
well, I was just thinking like,
This one does too.
Okay.
I was just thinking he should be kicked back over to be
Mine are.
Oh, you got an earlier version. Yeah, we can go with that one.
Oh, I don't, now I'm worried about what we voted for.
No, because I had Michael move the definitions over.
Okay.
But then some articles got kicked over along with the
But you
definition.
didn't change any
No,
of the
No, just a-
definition.
Just a formatting.
So that's passed. Update from town administrator.
Alright, so Sherry and I have been working on trying to get a post office elevator. And one thing I did a couple weeks ago was I went down to John Doe Architects in Essex, and he had a whole architect design for an elevator for the post office and a parking garage.
Mhm.
So we decided to bring it up at the meeting here so we can all see what it looks like and kind of how to move forward with it. So, then pass this around. This one, and that's the elevator, you pass that around that way.
Can somebody show it to the camera for the people? Just a second. Got it.
Then this one is the parking garage and elevator, it's both, but more for the parking garage, so you can see that. Do you wanna show that one for the camera as well?
Just a sec.
Hmm.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
I'm gonna be honest and I don't really, I'm not following that. I'd have to have somebody explain it to me. No, this is,
This is the parking garage coming up between 100 and
Yeah,
It's an
Oh, I see,
exterior
okay,
elevator.
And then the elevator is,
I don't know, like I
this
think
area.
it's, yeah, it's like built outside, but like,
Outside of
the
the,
do-
I think so, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I mean,
That
again,
makes
like I
sense, yeah.
also
Oh,
don't
really,
fully
okay.
understand how
That makes sense. Then it'd be blocked off, there wouldn't be through traffic anymore?
No, the through traffic will come away this and go underneath it. This here, when you walk over to the top of the,
So
by
you-
the library, it drives right off the
Oh.
library, right off to a level driveway.
So it'd be two stages, two step.
So we've been talking for how many years about a parking garage here on Main Street to get some extra parking, and we've had a design for 20.
And it's got 50 spaces.
Uh-huh. It was an awesome find, Michael.
Something?
This gentleman, this architect has designs for most of the buildings here in Richford, the brick buildings.
Including our station.
And this is all
Not
that.
the-
I was
not
gonna
the
say, is this
private.
current quote? No.
No, this.
It's a long time ago.
I was like, man, that's not really a bad price. But I guess it wasn't in 2002.
I'm pretty sure the top one is parking garage, or the first two, and the bottom, I'm not 100% sure, but I think the bottom one is the elevator.
But there is grants out there, and
Yeah.
Michael's looking for permission to go after them. If that's something you guys are all on board with.
these stairs are existing next to the elevator shaft?
Yes,
They are, okay.
there's
But
the loading dock behind the building,
Mm-hmm.
then you have the mechanical, that's right there for their ACs and stuff, for their air. It'd be in that area, cause then there's the stairs that go down into the basement, and we're thinking they're in that area, by the,
Yeah.
what we
Yeah.
see in the design.
Again, like we're
Not
also
that we
not
both are
architects, so.
architects. But it looks
sorry.
like it's in that spot.
The school's leaving,
Yes,
so we're thinking of putting in an elevator and we don't have any tenant for the second floor.
well, the elevator will be coming through as a grant, hopefully, because there is some out there for handicap festival, that type of thing. But at the same time, is if we would have more apt chance to get other tenants in there or be able to resell the building at a much better price. 'Cause right now, people are looking at the building and we have a post office that pays this amount, but they've already had somebody calling me on it. And the taxes they're gonna pay is almost the same amount, and they got a huge building to maintain, they don't want it, especially when it needs repair. We do have a new roof going on it, because it needs to be a new roof, and it's been leaking, there's damage on the inside that's gonna be repaired. It'd be nice to be able to tie it all in together and get it up and running. So either we do decide to keep it as a post office, which to be honest, I'm in favor of. But if not, then if we decide that we want to sell it, we can actually have something that people want to come to, because there is and has been interest in there for different things.
Okay, this is just a question, but if we get a grant to
Mhm.
put in an elevator for a property
That we own.
the town owns, but the town, it's not for town business, it's strictly a rental property.
We're hoping to get some type of offices in. At one time, I don't remember who the group was that came out from
Even
St. Albans,
offices, it's
was
strictly
talking
a,
about
it's a
getting
rental property,
state
it's not
product.
used for municipal offices, not for municipal purposes, we use it simply generate
Well, the
rental
grant's gonna
income.
go through with the school building up there, the school, the select, the school
And
is up there.
And I don't know, maybe that question is not valid, but I would just be concerned that we got a grant for a rental property, what happens if we have to repay the grant?
What if we,
Because it's a building the town doesn't use for municipal purposes.
what if we use the basement for storage like we do now? For
Again.
all different kinds of municipal
Or-
storage, or in the future,
Rec area, any of the above, the downstairs has some needs for sure.
potential, but it's got potential.
It's got a lot of potential, that whole building's got a lot of potential, and there is.
No, I understand what
another
you're
type of
saying.
business
It's
interested
not a
in
municipal building, and don't apply for a grant that's a municipal building. That's not a municipal building, but if we own it and lease it out, if we told the post office to take a hike, we'd own this building and it would be a municipal building, right?
I just think that, and I've kind of, I look at the money we budget to maintain the post office. And, I kind of come back to a fundamental question in my own mind. We're a municipality.
Mhm.
We're supposed to manage the town. why do we own rental property? You know, and I know what you're saying about the post office, but if we sold the building to someone else, if I was gonna buy a rental property, I'd love to have a tenant in there, you know, post office. I'm just thinking that
But
the town's ownership of the building doesn't guarantee the post office is gonna stay there.
That's correct.
And selling it doesn't necessarily mean the post office is gonna leave either.
That's correct.
Right.
No, we would sell it to a company that does post offices, you know.
Well, I did have a company that buys post offices, they own 48 of them
Yep.
in the United States. And we would be the largest building that they ever acquired, but then they called and asked what the property taxes would be, how much we're making off the post office.
Yeah.
And it was not feasible for them whatsoever to maintain building that size, which is the post office now. And they're not into rental properties either.
Cause it
Just
costs
the post office.
us money,
And
Yeah.
not to, okay,
you don't make money on that building.
you
No,
guys
we
put in
don't.
a lot of effort here,
It's not
obviously,
feasible for them.
but
Well,
I'm
that's the
more-
thing, but as a town of Richford, I don't want a post office to take a chance of it leaving me there. I'd rather keep it maintained. And if we're break even until we can get something. If we get this set up, that solves our parking in the town of Richford for Main Street. That's 50 parking spots. You know what I mean? That's huge for the post office, the library, the town hall, Main Street, to Mort's, different things in the area.
and this grant is twofold, parking and an elevator.
Well, that's what
Well, we
that's
have to,
what
we
he's
have
here
to
for.
look, yeah, we would have to like research for those.
We're here to pay for
I would
permission.
say, yes, we should have a priority for some type of parking situation.
Yes.
I would say we don't need a priority for an elevator, which is probably as expensive as a parking
We're
garage.
never gonna be able to do anything with the upstairs because it's not handicap accessible.
I mean, it can't hurt to see what's available. I mean, look,
Exactly. It's
I mean,
grants.
just look and report back as to what you can find.
That's fine,
I mean,
I think that should be, you know, something we look at to make sure if we do get the grant,
Yep.
because it's a rental property,
Find
we're
out
not
all the
gonna have
rules
to
and
pay it
laws
back.
and the regulations that we have to follow through with.
Well, I
yes.
say Michael and I talked to someone about ARPA money, and we talked about, he had someone come out and look at this building, he had somebody
Yeah.
come out and look at this building for doing something different with the heating system and trying to make it hard, have ARPA funds qualify for it, but what was the answer you received, Michael?
So,
I'm putting you on the spot.
what
What was it?
was that?
They basically said this building wasn't used, it's a public building, but it's not used
Oh, yeah,
enough for ARPA funds to qualify for it, which I had a hard time understanding that, because this is a municipal building, you know, but,
Because it was more for like public use. I think that's what you're talking about,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
Because it wasn't available for like the whole public to use, even though you can use the upstairs for.
So the qualifications for that, so it
Right,
might
there
very
was
well be
qualifications.
that you wouldn't be able to get a grant for
Mhm.
an elevator if it's.
Is
a
this
municipal
someone that-
property.
Controls ARPA funding?
No, but they're highly involved with it,
Okay.
so,
All right.
so it was a good.
And I think there are other things we could explore to Sherry's point of, maybe, we as a municipality can get some money or be qualified for some sort of funding. Like, I know other municipalities or towns buy properties to, because they can qualify for certain grant, and then with the intention of selling it at the end, just as part of development, like the downtown
Like 50 for our street
no.
that we purchased as a municipality 2.5 years
Yeah.
ago?
Right.
But I'm just saying,
Well, this year
but no,
we
but
could
like, so
have
maybe some of
a
those
business
properties
I
on-
just-
on Main Street, St. Albans, all that work they've done, maybe the
I
town,
understand.
so, I mean,
I
I think there are
agree with-
different avenues,
I
we
agree
just
with
need
you,
to,
Wally, I do.
be open on it.
I just think, and again, we have some pretty deep wells of money right now, potentially, for different things that we could do. I don't know that post office elevator is on the top of the priority list. There's a lot of other things in this community for safety reasons, whether they're, fire vehicles or, different things related to communication communications with the with the emergency services.
So when the superintendent's office moves out, you wanna close down the upstairs of the post office?
Yeah, because then the post office becomes responsible for the expenses in the building. That's what the
No,
lease
just the
says,
cleaning, just cleaning.
okay?
We still have to pay the lights, the heat, all that stuff for the
I'd,
building.
I'd like to review that contract, but,
Yeah.
or we can
That's copy it.
we can stipulate that, they,
No,
they,
don't panic us.
their lease is expiring, and,
The post office?
no, the,
The superintendent's office, yes.
right, and you're already hearing that they wanna stay.
No, that they're extending. So it could be 6
So
months.
they're not leaving in June,
No,
at the
they're
end
not
of their
leaving in
lease.
June. No,
So, I don't know, I'd like to see the post office contract, and, when they're the single tenant, what their obligations become.
it'd be a
But
separate,
again,
it'd be
I
a different
think-
contract.
I think there's, if you're prioritizing things, I'd say a garage is great, because it functions to support the rest of the community,
Yep.
not just the post office.
But the
So-
elevator would be hooked to the garage, so then people that are parking on top that wanna go over to Mort's or down that way or to the post office have an elevator to go instead of walking down, walking around, going around that way if downstairs is unavailable.
I was gonna say,
Put-
So usually a parking garage, you have an elevator in it and it just happens to be hooked to the post office
isn't there
too.
laws though that things have to be handicap?
Accessible,
Where I was gonna
yes,
say, that puts the
ADA.
building ADA.
Yeah.
exactly, so.
All right,
It can't hurt to explore.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Anything else, Michael?
Oh, yeah, one more thing. So this is the quote for the brick base that Kylie and I got from Brian and Sons.
Okay.
It's material and labor, he has it for $5,720
That's just to replace what's there.
to replace.
That's not to remove anything that's currently there.
That's only one quote. Is there any-
Yeah, no, we've
We're
been
having-
trying, but no one else
hard,
has been
isn't it?
interested.
Right now.
Yeah,
And that doesn't include the electrical, we
was
still
gonna
have,
say.
electricians coming to give us a quote on what that's gonna cost.
Let's just inform you that's
okay,
what's going on.
alright.
what's the likelihood of getting additional bids?
I'm still gonna
Okay.
try. I mean, we've been trying, you know,
I know,
plenty.
I know somebody pulled out right,
Right,
at
yeah.
the 11th hour, and I understand it.
No, yeah, we'll just keep looking
As,
so we get more.
so we got Ray's and we wanna contact Joe Bro.
Yeah,
Exactly.
he pulled out.
All
Okay.
options are being pursued.
Okay, I didn't know, I wasn't aware of that, I apologize.
No, that's fine.
Okay, so yeah. Alright. That's all you have, Michael?
Yes.
Highway report.
I have a couple items to need board approval. Scott went through and was able to secure 4 bids for paving for quotes, and the cheapest that came in was a company called J. Hutchins Incorporated. You know, that's a good question. Let's see here. It doesn't say on their quote. It's one Scott got.
That's one I think we've worked with before.
That's what he said. So they came in at $84.75 a ton for paving, which worked out to about $6 a ton cheaper than the next closest. So
Scott been happy with them in the past.
so you know they all quoted. Scott gave them, took them around town and said this is everything we'd love to do, but please know we only got 200,000. So they did quote. If you look at the quotes, they're for like 480, 500,000, but it was with the understanding that it's only for our slated budget.
Price
So-
doesn't change.
So it's Scott has identified some roads that nothing's locked in, but he's got a few South Richford Road, potentially a portion of, the Pinnacle Road. You know, maybe, you know, depending on what's left, you know, portions of a couple streets in town.
Fall apart.
The streets in town, I'm wondering, with water and sewer, before they pave them, do we wanna check with Daryl to see if these are older lines that maybe we need to
Scott,
replace before we pave it?
We had that conversation just the other day, Daryl, Scott, and myself, and so they're supposed to sit down and go through the list before, I think anything.
It's finalized.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
You looking for a motion to
to
approve?
going with Jay Hutchins for,
I'll make a motion to go with Jay Hutchins.
I'll second it.
Any discussion other than that?
The loader.
oh yeah, I think you meant on this topic.
On this topic, yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed.
Okay.
Is it, and I should have brought it up under discussion, any, supply chain issues? I know last year when they paved, for instance, down on River Street, the water department couldn't get the appropriate collars for the tops of the storm drains and things like that. Something we're gonna have to,
Potentially an
Yeah.
issue.
yeah, so we've gotta verify those kinds of things too.
Well, and maybe if those things become an issue, we can forego anything in the town, in the village for the stuff,
Yeah, no,
I mean, you know what I mean?
you can prioritize the
Yeah.
projects, certainly, yeah, if we have supply issues or, you know, if we're gonna replace some old tile or wooden drains,
Yeah.
you know.
The other issue, the other, thing I need board approval on is, they've got a couple quotes for new loaders, Case and Caterpillar. They've tested drove both and, they like the Caterpillar more. And I believe it actually came in a little cheaper than the Case, correct,
I
Kylie?
believe so, yeah.
And, so I need, Kylie's got a little bit of information on financing for it.
Yeah, I just reached out to who I reached out to Jeff Slade, through Milton Cat, and he said they're financing, the interest rates were going back up, and it was kind of high, so I reached out to who we work with, on all the other town trucks, and I think their 3-year agreement looks pretty good. The interest rates are a little higher than they were, but
That's to be expected.
Yeah.
So,
This is a budgeted expense,
correct.
If we did
including the higher interest rates.
well,
Maybe not.
It might be over budget, maybe by like $4,500.
Okay,
It's close.
I got you.
So you're looking for a motion for approval to move forward with the
Purchase
purchase
of-
of the loader?
Yeah.
I'll also make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The last thing.
Anyone
Oh,
opposed?
sorry. Go ahead.
No, hearing none, motion passed. That's okay.
The last item would be executive session.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I do have one other one, sorry guys. I did, have to have a second conversation about ride-along with the town of Plymouth. And Scott suggested, maybe it'd be helpful if we created a town policy. I don't know if it has to be anything in depth, cause it's like, well, who's allowed to ride in town, I mean, obviously kids are, an easy one to say no to, but who as an adult is not allowed to ride,
Should be employees and or town officials, period.
Only.
Or somebody that's come to town to,
Or, yeah.
to ride, to go out and quote a project,
That's true.
somebody that's there to.
I agree.
I don't know what the right wording would be, but somebody,
Vendor,
any vendor that's,
Mhm.
so, I don't know, can
The
Michael.
kid might be selling Girl Scout cookies.
Technicality. Is that something we could ask Michael is, I don't think it has,
absolutely,
I
yeah,
don't think it has to be in depth.
It's a
I just-
one paragraph.
just
Yeah.
policy on town equipment.
Town employees and, anybody directly involved in town business.
Town official, town employees, in any vendor.
Yeah, I like the word vendor.
Is executive session related to,
Hiring.
okay,
Alright,
I do have one more highlight thing,
Yeah,
and
I
that
was-
has to do with our FEMA projects.
Yes.
So I need to, explore, I was talking with a woman at Community National Bank, and the Smith and Coy Road projects are ready to go. I actually think Mr. Goodhue was out on Smith Road today, and he's gonna plan on starting the project soon. So FEMA, we're still moving through the motions with FEMA, and we're in pretty good shape right now, but we may have to take out, they call it a grant anticipation loan, in order to
Cover the
satisfy our
cost.
vendors right now and be reimbursed from FEMA.
Okay.
The amount of the project in total is $267,000.
Okay.
I would like you guys to approve that.
what are the loan fees on it?
So right now, the interest rate is 3.5%, and I may not have to draw the whole thing, so it might be in steps.
And does FEMA reimburse us for the interest on the loan?
No.
Okay.
And we had talked, Kylie and I bounced back, Kylie suggested we bounce back and forth. We know we're probably not gonna pay the paving money until late in the summer. So we had talked about playing with that, but is that, is it worth doing that, knowing, playing a shell game,
Right, well, at least if I have this, it's like a line of,
line of credit?
So
Yeah.
basically, right now, you could use paving money to cover the cost up until you need the money for the
Right.
paving.
yes,
Right.
I'm taking out a line of credit in case
Yep,
we need it.
yep. Alright, we've talked about this in the past, right?
Yeah, I would make a motion to approve establishing a line of credit with Community Bank,
Community National.
Community National for $267,000.
All those in favor? No discussion? Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed. Alright. Buildings report.
No news on the roof yet, he's still waiting, he told Kylie he's thinking June first, possibility of starting. He's waiting on the people to get the rocks off the roof, you have a company that comes in and does that, they're just going behind. We already talked about the rest of the post office, and as far as I hired a new custodian, who is also gonna be a handyman, or a handy person. So they're gonna do some painting projects on top of the cleaning of the buildings. If there's something that goes on down to the playground that needs to be painted, they can help with that. They're also gonna be doing, some painting if it needs to be at the gazebo, so kind of expanded the position quite a bit. Some painting, I'm having just some scraping and painting over at the library. I'm having a hard time getting somebody to come and do a quote to paint the whole building, because nobody's really interested right now in doing it. So I'm gonna have him start on the lowest parts down below.
How's your handyman with masonry work?
We had talked about that, but as far as, if you're talking about pointing and fixing a building here, I don't know, I think we need somebody who has
Well,
real knowledge.
What I'm talking about is the playground building, which the town crew has been working on
Mm-hmm,
in the past. It has been somewhat repaired, but it's not repaired as much as it needs to be.
okay,
There's still some gaps in the wall and some cracks, and but it's not high top pointing, where I'm up on scaffolding and things like
Right.
that. I was gonna mention it under highway, if those guys wanna go down and take a look at it again. There's still a gap, and we probably need to pour some kind of a floor into the place.
May I interrupt? I
Yeah.
just had another conversation with Scott on that this
Oh, okay.
morning, and he said with the rain, he said maybe we can just go down and take a look, and it might be something they'd be willing to tackle.
Excellent, thank you.
So,
So,
but I'll
tell
talk
the
to the
handyman,
site
he can't put pillars up out front, can he, for a sign?
No.
Okay,
he does not have this scenario on his application,
okay.
but he is willing to help wherever needed, so I thought we really needed someone who's a little more
Yep, I like the idea.
versatile. Also the gazebo, if the gazebo needs touching up or painting or a broken railing, he can help with that, or he could do it depending on how severe.
Just the stairs.
So stuff like that. I mean, the priority is still gonna be cleaning buildings and making sure everything's the way it's supposed to be, and the shoveling's all done in the winter time. But these other projects are also things that can be done
Excellent.
too.
And on that topic, you're saying the gazebo needs stairs fixed right now?
No, the stairs are fixed. They were not painted when they were fixed.
Oh, yeah,
They were
The-
fixed
the-
last
the
fall, there's
stair
probably a
treads.
lot of painting that.
So do we wanna try to make that a priority for the next couple weeks since the prom usually is held there?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
And
problems
down,
next week.
he should have an inventory of paint already in the post office building.
Perfect.
downstairs.
I'm gonna touch bases with him tomorrow. Today was his first day, so I'm gonna touch bases tomorrow afternoon with him, so I can talk to him about that, and we can actually go down and take a look at it. Hopefully.
Yeah, cause I'm guessing Marie was the last one and she had leftover paint from that.
Perfect. So
yeah, it's the
trying to make
back
this
stairs that
decision.
were replaced last year. The rest of it's in pretty good shape.
Perfect.
There's one slat on a bench that's broken. You know, it just needs to have a piece of wood to replace it with.
Yeah.
And there may be some of that still existing from all the work they did on the benches around the Main Street Park
Perfect.
and things like that, so.
Yep. I'll touch base with him tomorrow. Perfect.
Excellent.
May 28th is the problem, so.
Yes, I'll talk to him tomorrow about it, and maybe he can get it done this week.
Okay.
One day this week, have him go down for an afternoon, it's nice.
Is that it, Sherry?
Library, whenever I did a walk around. Then you know the paint's feeling really bad outside. I'm touching bases on somebody who said they could possibly build a screen door for them, cause you notice the back door is wide open, there's no screen in the door. But when it's hot out, they were hoping some type of central air or something, I don't know. I need to ask John, is that a historical building? Is it on the historical side of the historical building? No, it's not, perfect, okay. So that was one of the things, cause you can only do so many things, I'd like to get a quote on siding it for future year, next year, year after. That way we won't have to go back and paint it every 5 or 7 years. We have wood cross.
How would they feel about moving into the post office building?
Well, if they had an elevator, they probably wouldn't mind it, it's more space, 1 floor. Right? Then we could sell the house. Right?
I agree, I'm just
Perfect.
throwing it out there.
That's a good idea, I like it. Okay, what else? Open, painted, a lot of the windows have been painted shut when they painted the building, so we have to, there's them to go around and try to figure out how to get them all open. And that's about it.
Water and sewer, Tim, you had mentioned last time, 130 Thomas Street hadn't been updated. I talked to Daryl, and from what Daryl's telling me, they've tried to communicate with them in the past and have had no luck. They show up and they don't answer the door. I talked to Kylie briefly about this today, and we're gonna send a notice out to see if we can set up something, call in.
Yeah,
Andre.
with COVID and you couldn't shut water off to anyone, you kinda had to ride it out, so I believe that.
Yeah.
We're,
So we're just gonna move forward with trying to get in contact.
Yeah,
with them,
sure.
get the meter out.
I think there was
We metered
3
somebody.
properties, wasn't there? There
yeah,
was,
there's a list of a few where the meters need some maintenance, and so I gotta
Right.
send a few letters out.
okay, no, that's fine.
Now, we metered somebody outside, right? There's somebody that's got
Yeah,
a meter
there's
outside,
someone outside because of something like that going on. I
where
don't
they
know.
kept disconnecting it
Maybe
and
that's
stuff,
an
so,
option
so maybe we could do
if
something
we
like that.
can't get in contact with them, but
Yeah, we'll have to, cause I think there's other options.
as far as that, I made mention to Kylie today, when water usage goes up, I get calls, mainly because I'm the fire chief, and are you guys using water? I got a call during the fire down on Troy Street in the trailer park there, that I was in the middle of talking to someone from the state, and Daryl called wanting to know if we were transporting water. I said, yeah, we're using it. It's just a little update what goes on.
They know immediately.
Yeah, they know immediately. Then I got a call last Thursday you guys using water? I said, no, not that I know of, and he mentioned, well, I better go take a look. Then I got up out of my office and realized that the mill was testing their sprinkler system, which uses a lot of water, so I called Daryl back and say, hey, this is where your water is. So I just wanted everyone aware that, you know, this is, Daryl does monitor it very closely. That's all I have right now.
They're gonna start the sewer line, or they're getting ready to start the sewer line work on 105, and we have a pre-construction meeting on Wednesday.
Okay.
I was just notified of that.
Okay.
So I'll have more detail on that, but it should start soon.
Good. Good. Parks, playgrounds, and cemeteries.
All good, except for the playground building that we discussed.
Yep.
And I've also become aware of, at one time, there was a large piece of netting that was purchased to stretch over the playground area to prevent foul balls from falling on little kids' heads.
Oh, yeah.
It's down there in a box.
What's that?
There's one there.
That's the box that we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're gonna
And-
get that put up.
Yeah, I don't know if the town guys can do it or not.
So I guess at one time, I think when John was here, he had like some sort of directions on how to do this, and he at the time had offered the highway department to do it, so I don't know.
John.
So you can check with them. Maybe it's Scott's parting shot. We'll call it the coon's net.
It is dangerous for little
It
kids.
was a poor decision to put it there.
Yeah.
They should have left it on the other side of the road.
The upper side, yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, I mean, I guess it eliminates people maybe the thought was the back and forth across the driveway or the road. But yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many balls go in there every game.
Alright, so that's all you got, Tim? So
Yeah.
we're on to other business, and I see 54 Street's written down there.
That's what I wrote on mine.
Yeah.
Did
So-
you
I'm
hear
sorry,
anything?
I asked, and the day that I had sent the email was Monday last week. They had until that day to respond to the court,
Okay.
and she was waiting to hear from the judge on what the order was.
Okay.
And she was supposed to email me back, and I have not heard yet, but I will stay on
Follow
it.
up tomorrow.
Yes, I'll follow up.
Any other business?
I will just say, Green Up Day was a success.
Absolutely. Thank you for your help with the homestead out on the rail trail.
Yes, I got a letter from Longelong about that.
It went well. I mean,
I talked to some of the citizens down there. They were extremely happy.
we even had a citizen come help.
Serge
Marku.
Marku.
Yep. It's difficult. Like, I know you'd mentioned the rail trail itself on the way down there. There was a lot of trash.
But you can't get to it because the fence is up there.
It's actually on private. It's on.
Yeah.
It's on the landowner's property.
Yeah.
So I mean, and there's a couple there that are pretty bad.
130 Thomas Street is
Yes.
what we're working on up there right now. So
They
And if-
refuse to accept that, because I never got the certified card back.
he hasn't accepted the certified mail at that address. But if you look down in the middle in the gullies, there's some old TVs and some
Yeah.
stuff. But you guys did a fantastic job with that
Ended up filling.
homestead.
John has that high rise, F-350.
Yep.
Only 3/4 full.
Yeah, that's, wow.
It didn't cost you anything to dispose of anything?
Nope. I mean,
Okay.
well, the truck. I guess. Let me clarify that. I didn't ask.
Mhm.
We brought all the stuff over to the town garage,
Yeah.
and Weatherby's truck was there. I assumed it was meant to throw the stuff in, so I did.
Okay, good.
But then I told John about it right afterwards.
Yeah.
And he was fine.
Okay.
Excellent.
Any other business? Here none, I guess we have to go in executive to discuss personnel.
I'll move to go into executive session to discuss personnel at 7:55.
Do we anticipate anything coming out of executive, any votes?
Potentially.
So as a result of the executive session, I would move that we authorize Wally to negotiate with the new road foreman and abide by his and Kylie's decision following the interview.
Negotiate or just
Yeah,
interview?
interview.
Well,
Interview. No,
With the.
Well, there's gonna
with-
be negotiating for a pay scale.
Yeah, interview and potentially negotiate with the authority to hire.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Second, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed. Need a motion for the meeting to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
All those in favor?
I
Betcha.